Have you ever taken a road trip and listened to the same radio station for so long that they start to repeat their playlist? You reach a point where you simply can't listen to that same song again. Now imagine that you actually wrote that song. You make a living on that song. Every time you perform live, fans expect you to play that song. Would you become jaded and begin to dread the experience? This next guest has performed the same songs at Coachella, Saturday Night Live, Madison Square Garden, the Hollywood Bowl, and countless other venues over the past 2 decades. But rather than becoming bored or bitter with the tedium and routine that being in a successful band requires, he's found a way to appreciate the beauty in the repetition. Having tens of thousands of people sing along to a song that you and your friends wrote is something that very few people get to experience. It can be transcendent. After many years, he's learned to savor these moments and find meaning and inspiration in the redundancy of it all. But it wasn't easy. He recently discovered a passion for surfing, and he's found perspective and tranquility in the elegant chaos and unpredictable will of the ocean. After weathering 6 records, 4 solo albums, bouts of rock and roll excess, and countless tours, how does he maintain his enthusiasm for making music and avoid becoming jaded? We'll find out as we sit down for a candid conversation about his career. Today, songwriter, producer, surfer, and the flawless rhythm guitarist for one of my favorite bands of all time, Mr. Albert Hammond Jr. Albert Hammond Jr., good to see you, man.
Hello, man. I know.
I like this background situation we have going here.
Thanks. So I feel taken care of at all times.
So I think the last time we got to hang out, we were on tour in Philly eating cheesesteaks, if I remember correctly. And I won't say whether it was Pat's or Gino's, because I know that's a big controversy up there. But yeah, you did like a
Is it
small...
though? Isn't it just Pat's and the other one's not good?
I won't say. Is that where we went? If you want to divulge, it's up to you. Yeah,
that is definitely a fact. People can swear all they want. It's. I mean, it might have changed, but the other one was.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that was a pretty fun night.
But how long ago was that?
That was a while ago.
Like 14 years?
No, not that long. No, this would have been for. What album is this? Not before Francis, whatever the one right before.
Oh,
that.
mine. When we went to...
Yeah, it was just you. I think we went up there on a band tour.
Did I play that? I know what you're talking about. I played that tiny room, but had a balcony.
Super tall balcony, exactly. Yeah, Matt drove like
I don't remember the name of the album either. Momentary Masters.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the last trip we took together. We just did a little mini jaunt, and
I love Philly.
So. What a crazy year for obvious reasons. I think what's most bizarre about this year is that this pandemic has affected so many different people in different ways. Some people are doing very well, but then you have like the airline industry, you have the restaurant industry and movie theaters. But I think what people don't really talk about a lot is performers. And, even here in Manhattan, sure. You have, Broadway's still dark. No one's doing plays. There's no live performances. And so for someone who makes a living out of live music and making music, you guys got to work with Rick Rubin. You put together this fucking amazing album. You put your heart and soul into it. And then April comes around and you're not able to tour or promote. Like, speak to me about the disappointment in that. I mean, what was that like?
I mean, I don't know if I've registered my disappointment. There was so much happening around, It's not just. I feel lucky that when this is done, I imagine I will be able to tour the record. So it was hard though. There's a lot of small clubs that are cool and a lot of cool venues in general that are going to take a hit, or just you always hear rumors from management like, oh, this might close or that, and you're like, wow. Or like a festival might stop happening. So that part is just scary because it's
hard, and that stuff may or may not come back. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, I think I tend to be positive, but I think things may not come back, but it might come back in a different way. Like things just change. But yeah, I don't know if I've had enough time. I don't absorb any situation right away. You know what I mean? Like I take my time and I look at it and I examine it, and maybe like 3 years later I'll be like, oh yeah, I was feeling this then. I don't,
I mean, well, at the very least, it must be a little bit unfulfilling to be able to, or it seems like there hasn't really been like an exclamation point on this project that you put together. It's kind of just in limbo.
I mean, there's definitely like an excitement within the band that's that, just from a personal standpoint, I wanted to enjoy on the road and with fans and with this new record. So there's definitely that part of it. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to, it's so hard to talk about because I'd want to give feelings, but at the same time, we live in a time where like maybe my feelings don't really matter.
Yeah. Well,
right now.
It's hard. I'm giving you free rein to, obviously you got to put everything in perspective. People are dying. People are losing houses and jobs. So, the fact that we're breathing and we're healthy. But nonetheless, like there's something like, I'll turn this around to me for a second that, I put out a book this year as well. 10 years that I spent on the North Shore during the winter, chronicling this amazing place. I premiered it in December. I had a whole book tour planned, and it's disappointing for me too. Like I said, it's in perspective, but it doesn't mean that you're not disappointed at being able to share something that you've put so much heart and soul into.
Sure, no, of course. The good news is I think the all the heart and soul we put into this record and everything it felt like for us, I feel like we'll continue once this is done. You know what I mean? But I know what you mean. There's definitely we were about to do Saturday Night Live a day after the album came out. So it was like, it just felt like, a hurrah moment. So for sure, there's definitely like, you're bummed out about it.
I guess it's something that's universal too. Everybody's going through the same thing. So, in theory, there could just be like a pause and then a resumption of everyone promoting this stuff that...
it just makes me think, as soon as I say it, I think, yeah, but what if it's someone's like first record and that was like, they've taken all this time to like do that. And now like maybe they get lost in the shuffle. And so like, I don't know. I just have a habit of like, as soon as I feel bad, I try to like zoom out a little bit and then maybe that's how I comfort myself, or just like, I'm like, okay, it's okay. Don't get too emotional.
Let me switch gears slightly then. So tell me how important is the touring and the performing process for you in terms of the overall scope of music? Because you don't strike me as the guy that would be content just holing up in a studio and making pet sounds and never touring again. Did you miss the camaraderie of traveling with the boys and playing in front of people? Was that really important to you?
I don't know. If you told me that I was going to achieve making pet sounds, I might be okay with never playing music again. Being like, well, I did it. I do like, back and forth. I would compare it to anything like a sauna isn't good without the cold plunge. Food isn't good without the opposite texture in there, So it's like studio is amazing, but then the bringing it out live and seeing the fans and the immediacy, I think, helps you when you go back into the studio to be somewhere new. Like touring almost like takes you to a new place, which if you just stayed home, I think you'd get to, but in a different way.
And what about, do you miss just being able to be on the road with all the guys for that period of time? It must be kind of a special thing, especially at this point in your career. It's one thing, you guys aren't doing van tours anymore. I'm sure, you would be able to do it comfortably, and you've all kind of fractured off and done some of your own side projects in the last couple of years. So to be back together, that must have been something you're really exciting about.
It's for sure. That's what I was saying. I miss the most is just my chance to hang out with everyone. Like I got a little taste of it. We did New Year's at Barclays, and we had done some festivals before that. And then in the new year, we did the Bernie rally, and then went to Europe, and we're doing some promo shows, and I even got to the West Coast. It's like we were following COVID. We went Vancouver, Seattle, and then our LA show got shut down. But yeah, I didn't realize that I was going to need to hold those memories so dear, but yeah, it was definitely, it was awesome to be, we were in Berlin, Paris, London, and Belfast in February, and it was so fun to hang out with everyone and like just be doing what we've been doing for 20 years.
You had this amazing appetizer, and then all of a sudden the meal is not going to be served.
It wasn't even an appetizer, it was like an amuse-bouche. The mighty bouche.
One of the things that I thought was most interesting when I first met you guys that I learned is that, and I think this is correct. So when the Strokes first broke, when you guys first came together, none of you guys had ever been in a band other than the Strokes before. It was all your first band. That's correct? So, that must have had a really profound effect on the chemistry of the band. You think that's something that really kept you guys together over all these years?
I don't know what keeps the band together. I'm feel so lucky to be in this band, for us still to be together. There's I don't know, there's a sense of being on this amazing roller coaster, the fact that we're still doing it and it still feels like when we first met. You know, there's a part of you when you meet when you're that young and you connect like that always stays like that. And then the other part that grows, but it's still inside of you. So when you're hanging out with everyone, it still comes
you have
out.
This shared experience that you guys all have and no one else can really understand.
I don't even know what the secret would be. It's just if anything, I'm more just amazed to be here.
I can't help me think if this is true. Like, I can't think of a lot of other bands that, like, every member of the Strokes has either done a solo album or a side project, but then you guys all come back together and record as a band. Like, I think that's pretty rare, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I only know my universe, so if I look out, I guess you're right. I don't know what else to compare it to, but tell me, what are some of the differences between being a frontman, you know, as Albert Hammond Jr., and then being a supporting member of the band? Because I think what makes the Strokes so special is that all you guys really bring something unique and special to the table, and the chemistry together is really what kind of creates the sound and the magic. But so you step off and you do a solo project, and on one hand, you have complete creative control because this is your project now, but then you also don't have the input of those other four characters. How does that affect the process? Yeah, I definitely, and to go back where you started, I definitely feel lucky that I'm surrounded by, every member is so talented in so many ways, so it's like, that's definitely one thing about being in that group. It's just like 5 very talented individuals, or 4 others. I don't want to put myself in. But
yeah, you're right. I mean,
feels weird.
There's no dead weight. You guys all really bring something very important.
I mean, what's different what happens is I just have I have extra stuff, so it allows to have a side thing. I think over my time, it grew. It started out as I just wanted to use it as to grow as a songwriter, to bring back into the band. And then I ended up on the road, and I tried to be in another band and realized that I was already in a band. So I had to put the weight on me and just have it be me. And I kind of slowly discovered what I wanted to be on stage. And even as I did, it kind of changes. So my last record, I felt the most comfortable on stage, and I had this dynamic character, but still I look back and it wasn't totally right. So I don't know. I feel like all that stuff just makes me a better person when we play music again together as a band.
So, I mean, I've been listening to a lot of John Lennon's solo albums the last couple of weeks, and what struck me as so strange is that Ringo and George Harrison are featured pretty prominently on a lot of the tracks. And so it always struck me as really bizarre when a band would break up, or when a member would leave and do a solo project and then invite his band members to be on the album. Does that speak to the power dynamics of a band where now you're in complete control and they can be there, but it's on your terms? Have the boys played on your albums before? Because I know Nick and Fab were on Julian's album. I mean, what's that all about?
Yeah, I mean, we'd never broke up, so it would be less weird. I imagine you're on Ringo's first solo album, it's all the Beatles wrote songs on it. I mean, I always think that's cool. I mean, each other. It's not I think it's different than maybe performing all together.
Does it
I don't
speak
know.
Is there you think there's a conscious shift in the dynamics of who's in control when it's your album versus working in a band? I mean, obviously, it's still a collaborative process, but, ultimately your name's on the cover instead of, the Strokes or the Beatles or whatever it is. Is that a huge difference?
I mean, to be honest, I really have always just wanted to be in a band. I never that's evolved over time to understand that if I was going to do a side thing, I had to do my own name. I don't know how much I like some of it in the creating aspect of it, when you're recording and coming up with ideas, because at my speed I can allow a lot of ideas. Sometimes when you're working with other people, their speed or how they do stuff can like impede you. Sometimes it enhances you, sometimes it impedes you. And when you're by yourself, you have like control of that, but control of it, like your name being there, like that's the least important part to me. If anything, that's the part that not only do I care least about, but I wish was in the dynamic of the band.
Yeah. I mean, and then in terms of the physical performance, do you revel and appreciate the being able to step forward and be the frontman when you're playing solo, or do you kind of appreciate getting able to step back and kind of? I mean, is it a wholly different experience playing a solo project versus touring with the Strokes?
Yes, but that's only because I will play less guitar, and so there's more movement, and I just love being active and getting in the crowd and running around the stage. So it's a lot easier to run around the stage and sing a song and do you can do that more than when you're playing guitar. So there's different parts to it, but yes, of course it's different. Once again though, I don't like revel in, it's not like I like the idea of like, I always like the idea of a group and being strong individuals all there in a group, as opposed to like look at me. Yeah, exactly. I never felt like that, like wanting to be competitive in that way. You know, I want to be competitive within the team. Even when I do my solo stuff, I know it's my name, but people that surround me are amazing, better than me in many ways. And so I feel like that helps keep a team atmosphere. You know?
So I was watching, now that this will probably date me, but so in the early 2000s, there was a television show on VH1, which is already an old-timey statement. You know?
No, what do you mean? I guess
used to watch it on my 13-inch Zenith back in the day, and so there was a TV show, I'm sure you're familiar, called Behind the Music. It was super compelling,
yeah, of course,
but extremely formulaic. Like basically, the formula would go as follows: they would start with a band, and they would chart their career, starting with their humble beginnings, and then the struggle, maybe their big break, success, and then there'd always be this middle segment of the downfall, and whether that's excess or egos or drugs or just declining sales or hubris or whatever, and then this kind of third act with a resurrection. And I was thinking they never did an episode on the Strokes, but it seems like that middle arc would be pretty weak and maybe not even exist. Like, was there a really dark era of the Strokes at any point?
I mean, I don't know. It's always we're such a family, so it feels weird to speak about it sometimes when we're not all together, or maybe even openly, because I don't really like if there wasn't, how it was. I don't know if I really, I mean, it's not towards you, but I don't know if I really care to talk about it, just because it's nothing like, usually you talk about stuff because it'd be positive for some kind of change or something.
I mean, I guess what I'm getting at, so you're saying if it did happen, you guys you kept it pretty private.
No, I mean, I think it would be silly to not realize that anything as dynamic as us as a family are going to have ups and downs, whether at our height or when it's lower. You're still going to have ups and downs. Even at your lowest period, you can still have ups. So it's not like that show makes it feel like it's one thing and then it goes to another thing, and life isn't like that. It's a consistent up and down on the same frequency. So it's like it's hard when you're telling it back in a story, because it doesn't really make sense. It feels like a whole chunk of time was like that. I mean, everyone has chunks of times like that, and there's like rebirth in discovering yourself, and a lot of it, I always feel like the darkness comes from a lack of communication that exists in everyone's life, whether it be a marriage or a band. It just so happens that ours is like talked about in press, or people come to see it, so they're curious what happens behind the scene. But what happens behind the scene is very much is a lot lighter than people think it is. It had its darkness, but the reality to be together the way we are is our light is stronger than our. Of
course, I think like you said, any sort of family, you're going to have their ups and downs, and you're going to have growth, and you're going to have communication and all these things. But I guess the point I'm getting at is that whatever dark-ish era that the Strokes had, like it wasn't something that happened in public like a lot of bands.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't know if that's luck or it's just the way things happen, or we just I guess so. Yeah, that's yeah. I don't know. We're just Yeah, I don't know what to say.
I don't think I'm not digging for dirt. I'm actually trying to prove the opposite. Is that at the end of the day, you guys are five guys that really love and appreciate each other, and
there's as much dirt as everyone knows the dirt. It's whatever it is exists in your life is the same that exists in someone else's life. It might change from the situations and the people, but there's a lot of similarities in emotion and in connections between humans. So it's not like you could just mix that in with an unknown factor that is success. Just feel it out. You can remember being in high school and where you were in the tables of cool kids to not cool kids, and how that feels if it fluctuates. I mean, they make movies about it. It's like I just feel like sometimes emotions, because we're so used to seeing the dramatized version of emotions, because we have to watch everything compacted. It doesn't really exist sometimes like that in life. It's like I don't know what I'm getting to. Actually, I've completely lost my train of thought. Hi, I'm Albert. I'm 40 years old.
All right, so I'll bring it back. So I have a really funny story, and I don't know if you remember this, but this is probably several years back. You and I were having lunch at the Bowery Hotel at Gemma, and we're sitting outside. It's a really gorgeous summer afternoon, and this waitress walks by with a fruit salad, like delicious, but nothing spectacular. And you're like, excuse me, can I get one of those? And she stops and looks at you right in the eye and says, I'm sorry, that we only make those for celebrities. and I remember it was like this really awkward moment, because I could see you doing the calculations in your head. You're like, is it really fucking worth being that guy to have to do you know if I drop your name? And obviously you didn't, because you're like a cool, humble dude. But I mean, it struck me, so crass and tacky that she would say it as explicitly as she did. And it seemed like something that was much more that you would find in LA. And then B, I don't think there's many bands that are inextricably linked with New York City as much as the Strokes. No one ever says, "Oh, the Strokes, where are they from?" So to be on the Bowery and have her not recognize you, it seemed very ironic. But you spent a lot of time in LA. Do you have any other great stories like that kind of speak to the dynamics and politics of fame? And
I don't know, man. That has never really worked. I feel like maybe our name is bigger, but it's never really worked for doing things. And I never felt like I had that ability.
The currency to be able to do that?
Well, I have had, you have I could never do it myself, but girlfriends or friends, if you're trying to get a table at a restaurant, maybe it works. But it also feels like, I don't know, it's just not my... It's not my...
I mean, it was obviously out of character for you to have to do that. It's not my thing, I mean, that's the irony of a situation like that, is it's like a losing proposition, because once you are in a position where you have to say, do you know who I am? You've already lost, But, I mean, it seems like that the currency of fame and those politics play out a lot more in Los Angeles.
We only do that for celebrities. That's so funny.
It was just so forthright the way she said it.
You know what a good response would have been? A good response would have been well, how about hotel guests?
So,
I mean, it's better. It's better than a celebrity, because I'm literally helping pay the hotel.
But do you have any equally awkward stories like that from interactions you've had in LA?
I mean, I feel like I have very sweet interactions where I feel pretty lucky when it comes to that. I mean, sure, you always get the occasional person who's aggressive with it, but I don't know, it's very nice interactions. People it never gets old when someone comes up and it just seems genuinely moved by stuff you did. It makes you feel cool, I'm part of that fabric that I grew up also being part of with other people. So, that's that's a dream come true in and of itself. I'm trying to think of ones. I always prefer a quick chat than photos. And it's, sometimes people are they want to do a photo and a selfie. I always find it to be kind of funny, but because it feels like the same thing to me.
Do people ask for autographs anymore? I was thinking about that. Are autographs completely obsolete? No one asks for autographs anymore. They do selfies, right?
No, I mean, sure. I think if you asked, they wouldn't know what to do, which one they wanted, because they even get confused with a photo and a selfie. But yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I feel like when I have autographed posters and stuff, CDs, but I don't, or records, I don't I don't know, because I don't like, it's not like I like save it in my head and be like, oh, I've got, I've been asked for 10 and normally it's 20, it
just seems like the go-to.
I mean,
that was the go-to 10 years ago. I mean, just to prove that you had this interaction, and now the proof is.
I mean, we had an awesome, I don't know why it was always Houston, but we would play this venue in Houston. I think we went 3 times, early 2000, like 2002, 4, and like 6. This awesome 2,500 or 3,500 cap room, really great. And the bus is parked outside, and there was always like this giant line, and we're talking like maybe 2 or 3 hours to finish it to get back on the bus. And I just remember sitting there, and there's a lot of photos if you go on Instagram now of like one where I had a bra on and I was trying to remember it. It was because the line was so long and people were like handing you stuff. And so you ended up just like, I don't know, it was so silly. You were there for 3 hours. You know what I mean?
It was like, who would do it? All 5 of you guys, or just who would do it?
Yeah, all of us. Yeah. We would at different times kind of teasing each other. Of the last person, you'd be like, what the hell are you doing? I mean, it's just kind of just, all playful.
Have you've spent a lot of time in New York in the last couple of months, or you've been mostly out of town?
I was just there. I just went to my house upstate, and I was just in the city.
So my son just started school, so I've been spending a lot of time up in the East Village, and I'm on the Lower East Side. It's a very close proximity, but it's a different neighborhood, and wow, the East Village is looking very strange these days.
I haven't been in so long. I think the last time I was there was when we were rehearsing for the Bernie thing. I guess that's not so long. That's last year.
A lot's changed.
It's not even last year. It's this year.
Time
Doesn't
warp.
it feel like it's been like, oh man, I know time is very confusing right now because 2018 to me feels like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's very strange. Even I remember I had a mini little book party in the West Village, and I remember it was a leap year, I think, this year, so it was February 29th. So it was February 29th. Yeah. I remember the date, and there's a friend of mine who's like a surgeon, and he showed up straight from work, and he was wearing his scrubs, and I went to shake his hand, and he was like, whoa, and it seemed so bizarre at the time. I was like, whoa, we're not shaking hands, and I was like, I mean, this was 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Oh, he wasn't shaking hands
because he was a doctor, and he saw the writing on the wall. But this is
wow.
Literally 2 weeks before the world stopped. And it just seemed people had no idea. And that change in perspective seems so amazing. Time is very strange this year.
It's so funny. I was going to ask you because you were saying you had your book come out. I remember getting the email. I'm pretty sure I emailed you like, oh, shit, I'm in Europe. Or maybe I was back in the West Coast by then. But I started surfing in May.
Amazing. So how did that come about?
Well, to learn.
Yeah.
I did this short artsy film. It was like a one-shot zoom-in film. And the woman who played my wife in the movie lives in Malibu. And she was like, we ended up becoming really, really close friends. And she used to tell me surfing, and I was like, oh, I've always wanted to learn. And I started going out, and it was an amazing thing. It was very healing for my body. It was almost like I'm supposed to be in the water more.
Well, it always strikes me is really interesting when people that are fairly successful decide to take up surfing, especially kind of later in life, because the learning curve is really difficult, as I'm sure you've learned. And so it must be really strange to go from a perspective, let's say you're performing, you've created this world when you're on stage that is completely you're essentially in control of, and all of the audience members are willing participants, and it's a very specific dynamic. And to take yourself out of that and go into a setting where you have zero control and you're at the mercy of the waves and of nature. I mean, did you find that not just humbling, but is it intimidating, or do you find it refreshing?
I mean, definitely refreshing. I seek it out. I've been doing since about 30 years old. I started looking into hobbies and realizing that as much as I loved music, I needed to give space to a lot of things in my life to allow myself to be richer as a human. And in fact, I would be better at music if I did that. And so at first it was like that, like what you were saying. It's kind of annoying because you're starting from scratch again, and you love something, but you're no good at it. And you have to you want to be good at it. But you start to realize everything the window of getting really good is just, it's kind of like a rhythm, and it becomes this small pocket, and it's everything from when I was riding motorcycles to when I was surfing, like, and the faster you want to go or the bigger the waves, the smaller the pocket gets. And it's just like playing guitar and the rhythm of like uniting your hands or as a band. And so you start to realize everything in life has a very similar rhythm to it. You're just learning a new way to see it, and that keeps everything so fresh, and also allows you to come back with better understanding for what you're doing because of the similarities, but at the same time such an open mind because it's different. It's not the same thing, you know?
I mean, I think that's what's interesting about surfing, because the learning curve is so difficult. I always love when people go, oh, I'm going to try surfing. And be like, that's like saying like, oh, I'm going to go try karate. You know, it's a lifelong pursuit. It's very difficult, but because of that,
oh, for sure,
there's always a level of incremental achievement. You know, whether it's the first time you stand up or the first time you ride a wave of a certain height or cut back or whatever. So there's always these achievements. You know, as opposed to, you know, when you're performing, you know, how do you keep it as fresh like that? I mean, do you find that there's like a conflict between when you're on stage, like, oh, I've done this song 1,000 times, and it's really like there's a sense of sameness as opposed to surfing where it's like it's always different.
But if you look at anything in life like that, you're going to be jaded, and that's the trick with getting older. Is everything in life you start to notice, if you want to, is a repetition. And man, I got to get up again. I got to wash the plates again. I got to feed myself again. And so if you don't find either rituals in that, or you don't get curious at how you can make things different, or also you could play something 1,000,000 times and be bored by it, or figure out little new things you can do with it, or ways you can get into, when you play something 1,000,000 times, so there's that drawback of, man, that's boring. But there's also, because your body can be so relaxed doing it, you can get into like a Zen-like state, because you're like, can pull back out of your body, and all of a sudden you're on stage, you're seeing all these people, you're playing, you're not even thinking about it. You don't even know what you're doing. And so you've just turned a song that you might be boring for you to play because you've played it 1,000,000 times, and it's like there isn't that edge, and you've created a high from it. So I don't know if I can look at life like that in anything, because I wouldn't enjoy anything.
So you're saying, so when you're playing that, you know, your solo from last night, you're playing that, like, you've played that so many times that it's almost the muscle memory takes you from A to B, and you can actually like experience it and have new input that you wouldn't be able to if you're really focused on the frets.
Sure, I'm just saying you can look at it and be like, oh man, here we go, playing this song, you know, and like look at it and just like be upset you have to play it, or you can look at it and take that moment that you know it so well to actually really be in the moment in something so ridiculously crazy of playing music in front of people that you've been doing for so long, and they're singing along to you. Like if you're too jaded to like have that hit your heart and your soul, then, you know, you have bigger problems than that. I mean, that if you really feel those moments, it's insane. It's a group of people all in the same moment. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. And it's not to be thrown away because you find the significance to be repetitive.
And let me ask you this, is that perspective, is that something that comes from an evolved Albert, or is that something that you've always had since this band? Like, did you feel that way when you were 20, when you were having to tour?
Definitely not. I mean, I think when you're younger, you're running on different information, but no, I definitely did not think that when I was younger, nor do I think I could have or should have. I think that's something I realized that I had to learn to make anything in life enjoyable for myself, because I imagine if I made it till I was older, I wouldn't see, you know, it's like the myth of Sisyphus, we're basically rolling up the rock every day eternally, so that it rolls back down to roll it back up. Once you discover that, I think that you can create a lot of things around it. It's like the idea that, you know, you pull back enough out of this world and you realize that everything is kind of meaningless or so small and insignificant, but that's so cool because it allows for... Yeah, you can create your own meaning. You can change. You don't have to be stuck in any pattern. Like everything is like there for you. So like this creates a freedom in knowing that. And I just thought that was important. I just felt like if I didn't practice that, that as I got older, I would just become a jaded asshole. And I don't feel like I want to be that. I don't want to have kids or look at a younger generation and be a jaded asshole.
And so do you think surfing helped you move that needle forward?
I think all those things do, for sure. I mean, being there, it's probably the only thing I've done that connects me in a physical way with nature. I felt it when I lived upstate, which I really liked. You started to understand the cycles of nature. And then when you're in the ocean, all waves are different. When, just like, I don't know, everything about, I'm goofy footed. I took my first left, and I'm not like by any means, like, I still have my pink foam board. Not mine's just pink. I don't know why I said that, as though like beginners don't use pink boards. Like all beginners must be on pink boards.
It's like a pink belt, and you work your way up to a white board with stickers.
Yeah, exactly. But like I took my first left, and I was looking at the mountain in Malibu off Little Doom, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy shit. Everything stopped and made sense. And I was like, this force was pushing me. It was,
it's magical. It's transcendent.
Yeah. That's the whole thing, is like how you describe magic. Do you want to? Because it's really like, you experience it and it fulfills you. And I don't think it needs to be figured out how to put into words so that someone else doesn't have to do it. I think it was the act of, you're nervous to go out. You don't know what's going on. You go out, you miss waves. You can't stand up. You fall over. A wave comes. You go underneath. You don't know what's happening. You go back and forth. All these emotions. Finally, one day, you stand up right. You go left. And all of a sudden, like, everything aligns. And you're like, I get it.
Yeah.
But that only happens because of all the stuff you went through to get there.
But I think what's special about surfing is that from even if as difficult as it is and as long as it takes to get good or decent at it, it's fun from the first moment. And I think that's different than a lot of things. And I know a lot of surfers, like from beginners to pros, and most of the people who have the most fun tend to be more beginners, because the better you get, you start to like parse it's the wind's on it. Oh, the tide's 180 degrees swell. It should be real 160, and that's what's so special about it, is you see people who take a surfboard out for the first time and they get tumbled in the whitewash, and like maybe they kind of stand up with like this, funny eight butt stance, and they get out of the water and they're just fucking glowing,
Yeah, I know. That's what happened to my wife. She just came out to like visit me. Someone brought her out, and my surf coach was there, and he was like, "No, you're riding," and he just pushed her on a wave, and she stood up, and like I'm pretty sure she's still glowing from it. Because she didn't even think that she would even get in the water. Yeah. You know what I mean? The water is still very intimidating for her. So yeah, it's definitely it's an incredible thing. I want to go to that. Have you been to Kelly Slater's surf park?
I have not. However, tomorrow night I got a VIP invite from a friend of mine to go to. There's a water park in New Jersey at the Meadowlands that's just about to open up, and I'm going to go tomorrow night, actually.
Dude, you got to send me a picture.
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
I'm actually I'm nervous. I don't know why. I just like, it's a very and we have a 2-hour time slot. We have to be there at 9 p.m., which is even more just what a bizarre.
Dude,
experience.
if you weren't nervous, nothing would be fun.
Yeah.
Like, like everyone asks, like, do you still get nervous to go on stage? And it's like, is it the same nerves from when I've never played a show? No. But is it still like a rush in my belly? And like part of me is like, what's going to happen? Always. Yeah. I mean, I think nervousness and excitement and elation are all kind of cut from the same cloth, just different effects. For sure. Like definitely like the beginning. It's like the same. You can tell when you're on tour because you can be tired and then you're about to go on stage and all of a sudden you have all the energy in the world. That's not coming from just being calm about it.
Yeah. I mean, so I imagine, having this opportunity to tour this year kind of stripped from you at the last minute, has it brought up any kind of memories or reconciliations of moments that you didn't really appreciate that you look back on now and be like, wow, that was really one of the most special times of my life?
Yeah, I think all those things that's maybe the best time to reflect about those things, is like, I took things that I thought were simple for granted, and they were very powerful to me, and I should try to remember that. I think it's okay that you won't remember it all the time, but I think it's important to know that you can easily forget.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think we're blessed, both of us, in a way, because what we love to do is documented. Like, your albums are going to live forever, and some of my career highlights I'll have pictures of forever. And then in many ways, like, you're on that list as well. I mean, getting to go to Mexico City and see 19,000 fans and be on stage and get to be a part of that and document it like that. I mean, that was really special for me, So, thanks for that. And I appreciated that even at the time,
No, I love that. I loved having, when you came out, I love in general having someone document being on the road, because it is such it all happens so fast, and I don't think you fully enjoy it till you see like a photo of it and reminds you.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's certain bands, and even like, tension within the Strokes. I mean, you were always very welcoming, and I could tell from the get you appreciated that documentation. Some of the other guys, not as much, but it wasn't. I mean, ultimately, I like the photos, and I was taking it for me, but it's not a wholly selfish endeavor. I mean, I really do have the perspective, and I've noticed this a lot of different bands that I've shot. Like, as the years go by, like, they really do appreciate having that document of those moments, and you may not appreciate it at the time.
Of course.
And I see that, and the same thing with my surf project too. And that was so interesting. I was like, so I went back to the North Shore, had this 10-year yearbook of all these amazing athletes, and I thought that I would go to these team houses and show them to the pros and just be lauded and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. And they were like, oh, that's cool, whatever, But it's like, I got great feedback from people who didn't have access to those houses. And I realized that that's really what the book was about. But I know in my heart that 10, 15 years in the future, like, I'm going to be very proud, and I think they're going to be very appreciative that those moments were documented, And I feel the same way with you guys. I feel so lucky to have gotten to be there,
I see the little bits when Justina, my wife, is an amazing. She takes amazing photos, and she comes on the road and does lights with me on my solo projects, but then also takes photos of me and helps keep up like my social media. And we get into so many, like, not real arguments, but like funny arguments, because it's annoying sometimes to be camera, because you become very self-conscious, and sometimes you're just like, I need a minute to just be fucking ugly as just like not try to focus on, like, or like you see yourself and you're like, fuck, this is terrible. I'm like, because we all have angles where we can cheat stuff, so but it's that balance. And then as time goes by, I'm like, oh man, thank God she took that photo. It was so great to have that. I would complain the whole way, and I'm so happy that I have it.
Yeah, I mean, I always really I took my role really, really seriously. I'm like, I thought it was my role to not lie and only show the best, but to really, tell a flattering story. Like, I just have always despised photographers who are like, hiding in the bushes trying to take salacious photos.
No, the thing is, it's a real story can still be flattering. You know what I mean? It's not like, I think that gets lost. The subtlety gets lost. I think it'd be silly to take photos of someone like at like I don't know, just not, you could even get a low moment, but still have it, I don't know, maybe how it looks or the shape of it or the frame of it is so good that it's such a good photo. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I've seen photos where I don't like myself, but the photo is just so good. Who cares?
And likewise, I have some photos of you and, some kind of dark times, but it tells a story, and it's not, the purpose of the picture is not just to make you look horrible. It's to tell the story.
Oh man, you have a great photo of me at opening for Incubus at Hammerstein, right? From the back.
Yeah.
That's such a cool shot.
I love that shot.
The whole empty.
With the big front. People always ask if that's Dylan. It's really funny because of the hair. I love that shot.
Do you tell him? You're like, how old do you fucking think I am?
It was a young. I think I took that at Monterey Pop.
Yeah, that was definitely.
So tell me, where have you gotten a chance to surf? Mostly just in Malibu? Have you surfed out? You gone out east at all?
No, I haven't been surfing out east, but I did. Because I know you did this with Andrew, and I texted him when I was surfing too, because I remember when he was surfing a bunch, like when I first met him, and he was going to Hawaii, and he sent me a picture of the waves in New York, and they looked amazing. Here, look,
it's a rad little community out there too.
Is there a bunch of people living there who surf?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Really?
And that's what's so cool. Like this time of year, like basically post Labor Day, it completely empties out. And I have a bungalow that I've had for about 15 years out there, like pre-Sandy, and it used to be like, it was bleak. Like you're lucky if you could get some Chinese food and like a beer, and now there's wine bars and like gourmet that, like in the summertime, there's a lot of cool shit, but that basically ends Labor Day essentially. And all the kind of white noise from the city leaves. And it's like the same 75 people that that live there full time, the surf. And it's a great scene,
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I know. I really gotta go next time. Next time I'm out there, I gotta get a little better and then go.
It's fun. Rockaway is a really hard place to learn because it's always different. It's not someplace like like a Rincon or a Malibu. It's like as long as there's waves, it's pretty predictable. And Rockaway is just all over the place. So you see these people that go to Costa Rica for a week and then they're like they take these like soft tops on these like little soft peelers and they're like, oh, I know how to surf, and then they just get worked in Rockaway.
Oh my God, that's so yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, the one thing I always like to do on this podcast is give people an opportunity to plug something that they've been inspired by, whether it's like a book or a TV show or an artist. And me personally, like I'm in dire need for a new favorite album right now. Like, is there anything that you want to give some shine to that you feel like kind of fell through the cracks? Let me see.
I can kind of give maybe I'll give TV, book, and album.
Oh, nice. A trifecta.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking I haven't, well, maybe that's bad because I haven't started it, but I just loved his other books so much. So I just feel like I know it's going to be good. And it is this one right here. Okay.
Tell the title and tell me what it's about.
Oh, Kafka on the Shore. I don't know what it's about, but literally all his books, I don't know. I played this guy, Darren, who played drums with me in my solo project. He told me I should read one like a while ago, and I read it, and I was just like, I forget which one it was. It's one of his famous ones, but it was so good, and so I've just kind of been getting them and not knowing, and I feel like it's that good. You should just get it and not know. It's probably better. Yeah. And then the TV show is on Apple Plus is Ted Lasso.
They just finished it. So
just
good.
Like I just want to
so
I laugh, I get teary-eyed, I get moved in so many directions. It's like I never want it to stop. It's like I wish each episode was like 3 hours. It's like
the Curiosity speech when he's playing darts. This is a great scene.
Oh my God, I know, but like it's like it was funny before that, and then it was like. It was so rich with like real human emotion in that kind of TV setting. It's rare. It's a rare thing to really experience. The only last time I experienced something like that was like the UK Office. So there's that, and then an album. Is there a new album? Let me see. Got to go to my Spotify. Album, huh? You say album. I'm so bad.
I'm yearning for a new favorite band, a new favorite album, like something that I haven't discovered.
I mean, I recently discovered News at 10 by the Vapors.
Okay.
And it's an older band, but I was just like, I hadn't heard this, and I was like, this is incredible, and I get stuck. Also, like, I know the Buzzcocks, but I hadn't heard or fully understood Why Can't I Touch It, and there was just like, that was been really amazing to me. So it's so hard to like find sometimes new stuff. This feels weird to say a song that I worked on.
Are you talking about the Struts?
No. I mean that was really cool too. No, but on October 16th, Omar Apollo is releasing an album, and I got to play on one of the songs, and I just thought, I remember when he sent me the demo, I just thought it was such a cool song, and I didn't know him at the time, and it was just, I got into his stuff. He's a really amazing performer and musician. It was pretty awesome.
That's a perfect plug, because we want stuff that people may not necessarily know about, but you can use your platform.
It wasn't in my wheelhouse, and then like I really liked it and then got the chance to work on a song, which I thought was a really incredible song. It's called Useless on his new album. And then I saw him perform. I think YouTube listens to me on my phone because it sent me a link to him performing with like this like Spanish song, and it was so cool and different. So it was just, I don't know, interesting.
Well, we'll leave it on that, man. I would love to check that out. Everybody should go and, heed your advice. Go read that book. Check out Ted Lasso. And tell me one more time, what was the last one? The Omar
Apollo. It's comes out October 16th. It's called Useless.
Albert, always a pleasure, man. I wish you all the best.
Same.
Hopefully our paths will cross soon in person, and I'm looking forward to whatever you got coming up, because I'm a big fan.
In person sounds better.
Yeah.
Thanks,
all
man.
All right, take care.
It was a pleasure. Bye.
Cheers.
This episode of The Plug was produced by Bucci with audio engineering and original music by Peter Buckingham. Thanks for listening, and a huge thanks to today's guests for dropping in. If you like this episode, hit subscribe and be sure to tune in for future conversations.